Welcome back to the allotment, everyone. I finally managed to come over here to do a bit of filming. The weather has been terrible for filming for about the last 6 weeks, so it has been a while. I've popped over to the allotment 2 or 3 times in the meantime, so let me spin you around and show you some things that might have changed since the last time we were here sowing the polyculture bed. It is actually pretty windy today, but we're going to persist with some filming because if I don't, then I'll never get another video up. Let's start with the polyculture bed then and see if any of our seeds that we sowed have come up. So we have got some lettuce in the corner here. That looks big enough to me to be able to start thinning. There's some stray potatoes. I mean, the saying goes, once a potato bed, always a potato bed. You really have got to get up the last kind of tuber so that you never have potatoes in that bed again. But you can see I've got some coming up here. I've got some more here. I think I spotted some more further down in the bed as well. But I will dig those out, and I think what I'm going to do is just separate these into a nice little lettuce patch. And then over here, I think we've definitely got some of that beetroot bull's blood leaf that is growing, but that looks to me like it could do with a decent weed around it because there's some stray things that are creeping in that we just don't want there. And then over here, I can definitely see some spinach coming through. Again, 2 or 3 of these I might move into a slightly different position, and I might check on my chart to see what else I sowed in this area because I think there's something else coming up here as well. And let's have a look over here. There's definitely some onions of some sort have come up in this patch. Let me see if I can get close enough to show you. So there's a few onions there, and I think I might have sown some poppy seeds. It looks like there's some poppies coming up in this central section. I will get the chart that I made, pop it on screen so you guys will know ahead of me what's in which area. More onions down here by the look of things, and we've got a nice bit of fennel coming up. The parsley's looking really healthy. A couple of weeds in there, I think. And we have got some spring onions along here. Let's try and get a little bit closer. Some spring onions, not those, that's a garlic. Spring onions here, which look like they've overwintered pretty badly. Most of them died actually, to be fair, so I'm glad that there are a few at least. The peas have come up, so they are going to need something to climb up. And there's another stray bit of potato. I think we have some carrots down here, and I think whatever I planted in this section in front of me hasn't germinated, and then we've got some carrots that have germinated at the end here. And then of course there's the awesome planted garlic that's along the back there, that's doing okay. And then I think I sowed some marigold seeds along here, but nothing has come up, but that's okay because I'm growing them in pots at home as well, so I'll be able to transfer some out here. So considering how dark and wet and wild and windy and awful the weather has been, it's just been very cold actually up until now, and even though the sun is out a little bit more at the moment, the temperatures are still pretty low for April. I think in spite of all of those things, the germination rate on those seeds has been pretty good. I've got some chard here which is looking ready for a decent picking, and it looks like it's sending up shoots. Actually, it looks like it wants to go to seed, so we'll whip the centres out of all of these plants. And it looks like I've got some lovely rhubarb there that I can start picking. I think I'm actually going to get a little harvest today, guys. I'm quite shocked by that. This is the flower bed. Now, as you can see, it's a pretty sorry state. So one of the things that I've done off camera is I've removed this area of pathway. I've pulled up the weed suppressing membrane and I'm incorporating it into one large flower bed. Let me step back a little bit so you can see it more easily. There we are. So this whole rectangle here is going to be one big flower patch, but you can see I've got a pile of weeds here, but the soil, the earth has been too wet for me to come and weed properly. There are a few things that have come through though. There's a few poppies, there's some phacelia. It looks like there's a patch of nigella or something at the end here as well. There's obviously a few bits of self-sown stuff over here. And then you can see that all along the edge here and the paths, I need to bring the strimmer up and get all of that sorted too. Now, one of the things that I want to do today is to get some more weeding done on this flower patch. And the other thing that I have brought with me is an archway, a metal archway, just a really sort of cheap 10 quid one. Bought it off Amazon, bought it last year actually, and never brought it up here and put it together. But I kind of want an archway going all the way along here, and I thought if I just buy it in sections as and when I can afford it. The idea is that on the left hand side where all the veg beds are, I'll have climbing vegetables going up it, and then on the right hand side I will have climbing fruit and climbing flowers. Okay, so it really is blow your socks off windy today, but like I said before, I have got to get some filming done so that you guys don't miss all the different things that I am managing to do. The other thing I thought I'd point out to you is that the water is back on, and look how crystal clear that is. It will not stay that way. I give it a week or two and that will be green. The only other thing, I've planted a delphinium at the back there. Planted something here, I think it's called a centaurea, something along those lines. I just picked those up on offer in Asda and bunged those in the ground, and you can see how rock hard that has gone. It's never been mulched, this kind of end of the bed, which is why it's so weedy. It's why it's just going to be rock hard. It will be from the sublime to the ridiculous, so it will be where I couldn't weed it because it was so wet and kind of claggy, and now I won't be able to weed it because it's absolutely rock hard and stuck together. But we'll do our best. And then the other thing that I want to do today, you can see my sort of half-hearted pretty rubbish has just blown away, fallen apart attempt at starting to create this no dig bed along the back here. I had a genius idea which I will tell you about. So I suddenly had an absolute brainwave on my way over here, and right, I'm coming down a bit lower because I feel like I might be able to shield myself from the wind a bit down here. And you can see the lovely cherry blossom behind me as well. So I had this genius idea when I left my house this morning. I thought to myself, I don't have enough cardboard to create this bed. It's driving me potty. I just don't order enough stuff to get enough cardboard. I also don't have a car, so I can't lug lots of it over here. I can't carry it, can't go great distances to go and get it. Then I thought to myself, if I walk a slightly different way to the allotment, there is a petrol station, there's a garage on the way here, and I could just ask them. And I did, and I went in, and she was a little bit kind of bemused to start with, I think, and she was like, but I've just pulled them apart and flattened them. And I was like, that's perfect, give them to me. I want them, bring them to me now. I mean, I didn't say that, but she brought over this massive box of folded card, and actually some of the card wasn't any good because it was just like small boxes that bottles of beer and things like that had come in. But some of the big boxes, like the crisp boxes, okay, the shielding from the wind did not really work, did it? Anyway, the big crisp boxes, they were good, so I think I've brought about 4 cardboard boxes with me, and it should allow me to just go over that bit that I've already started, finish it off properly. And whilst I don't think there's any compost left in the big compost bin at the allotment, I do think that there's a load of wood chip left, and I thought to myself, if I just put wood chip on top, that's better than nothing, and it will hold the cardboard in place, and I can always scrape the wood chip off if I want to, or just pop some compost over the top of it. I just need to get that bed started, because that's going to have my sweet corn in and my squashes and courgettes and things like that. What should we do first? Let's see if we can put this archway together. Let's try and get this archway together because I'm dreading it. Okay, so I'm falling at the first hurdle. I've lost the instructions. I'm sure I packed them in the bag, but I can't find them in the bag. And now I'm really worried. I don't know where they are. It looks like a fairly simple construction, but I would still rather have the instructions with me. So I think the solution is to not do that today, and I'll see if I can find the instruction sheet at home somewhere. Maybe I took it out for safekeeping or something. If I can't find it, then I already know that I need 2 of these archways, so I think what I'll do is I'll just order the second one, and then the instructions for that I'll be able to use for both of them. So anyway, moving on swiftly, let's get the no dig bed sorted instead. So what we have here then is a very attractive heap of wood chip, but I don't really care because it is weighing the cardboard down, it's covering the cardboard, it's going to suppress the weeds, and when I can get my hands on some compost I can then decide what to do with this area. If it ends up being that I either can't get hold of compost or I can't get it here, perhaps there's never another supply at the allotment, whatever, if I can't get compost I can at least wood chip this whole section and put pots on there this year and then transform it into a bed for vegetables next year. Either way, we're just kind of getting rid of the grass and the weeds, so I'm kind of happy with that. Not as happy as I would have been if there'd been some compost to put on there, but it is better than nothing. And like I said, I have a plan B for if the compost is not forthcoming. Right, so that's not too bad of a start. I've also caught up with an allotment friend as well, which, you know, took about half an hour because we haven't seen each other since last year basically. And I think what I'm going to do now is give the polyculture bed a soaking so that the soil is nice and moist and loose, so that I can move some of those lettuce seedlings around and possibly the spinach as well, and just reposition them slightly so that they are not growing on top of each other. Right, so I ended up not moving any of those lettuce seedlings, and that was just because I didn't really have the right tools with me to be able to do it carefully enough without kind of wrecking the little seedlings. And I did some weeding along here. I must bring a strimmer and an edging tool along here as well so that I can finish off and kind of square off these beds properly, because the grass is just creeping in so much. But yeah, this kind of section here is pretty much weeded. This section here is not, and then there's some kind of areas and bits here that I have started weeding as well. So I think what's really important is next time I come here that I actually get this section planted up and get a few extra plants and things in that end as well. And then the annuals that I'm growing at home, I can then just use those to fill in the gaps, but I need to get some really good perennial plants, perennial flowers that are going to make really great cauliflowers. Oof, the wind is off again, oh my goodness. And then the same thing here, if I could just square sort of that section off and create a little rectangle there that's been weeded and is clear, then I could plant some things in there, and then I can move on to that kind of centre section rather than trying to do the whole lot all at once. So then guys, I haven't got quite as much done as I wanted to, which is absolutely typical of me, you'll notice, but also I did have to catch up with my friend. My friend at the allotment is very poorly at the moment as well, and it's really, really important to give people time, and so that took precedent over everything else that I was doing. The final thing that I'm going to do before I go though is pick myself some chard, because like I said, it looks like it's trying to go to seed, which I was not expecting just yet. So I'm going to pick a load of that, take the centres out of those, and call it quits for today. And yeah, thank you so much for stopping by again. We did get some stuff done, and hopefully I'll be making these more regularly now, as long as the weather behaves itself. So she says, in a gust of wind. I will be back again very, very soon with another allotment update.